Dear Nigerians, imagine for a moment that the year is 2075. Yes, 2075. 50 years from now. The vibrant pulse of Nigeria, the giant of Africa, echoes across the continent and the entire world. But the nature of that echo will depend entirely on the path we chart today. The year 2075 may seem distant, but it is already being shaped by the choices Nigeria makes today. There are two starkly different futures, born from the seeds of present decisions. Will it be a nation of thriving industries, skilled workers, and shared prosperity, or one trapped in a cycle of poverty and missed opportunities? Which one will we choose? In this video by Africa Rebound, we paint two contrasting scenarios or pictures of Nigeria's future, one built on vision, discipline, and execution, and the other on inertia and neglect. Through hard numbers and human realities, GDP, exports, poverty levels, and living standards, we challenge Nigeria's leaders and citizens alike to decide. Will Nigeria rise to greatness or drift into mediocrity? The clock has already started ticking. One future is within reach if we choose it. The other future will choose us if we don't. Greatness scenario. The Great Turnaround. Nigeria spent the 2030s to the 2050s executing a clear development playbook. Fix power, industrialize for export, educate for productivity, and govern with data and discipline. By the 2060s, compounding did the heavy lifting. Nigeria's long-awaited transformation finally arrived. Not by luck, but by learning from others and staying the course. Power reforms, industrial policy, and human capital investment were pursued consistently for 5 decades. In 2075, Nigeria's population is around 500 million, with population growth rates slowed by prosperity and education. Nominal GDP has risen to $7.5 trillion from $300 billion in 2025. Real GDP growth averaged about 6% from 2026 to 2035, then 7% from 2035 to 2060 before maturing. GDP per capita is now roughly $15,000, up significantly from $800 in 2025. Foreign reserves exceed $500 billion. Manufacturing value added is 20% of GDP, or $1.5 trillion. Total exports in goods and services has reached $1 trillion. Manufactured goods make up 60%, or $600 billion. Services like information and telecommunications, creative industry, engineering, healthcare, and education account for 25% of GDP. Poverty rate, defined as less than $3.60 per day, has fallen to 10%. Unemployment is below 7%. Reliable electric power capacity stands at 100,000 megawatts. Inflation rate averages 5% per annum. Macroeconomic conditions are stable, and local capital markets are deep. The Naira is strong and stable. Nigeria is now officially an economically developed nation. Nigeria has achieved economic prosperity and greatness. In 2075, Nigeria finally feels like the promise it always carried. The air hums with quiet productivity, from automated factories in Lagos, Shagamu, and Aba, to vast agro-industrial estates in Benue and Kano, feeding global markets. Electricity flows steadily, cities glow, and rural towns thrive. Speed trains glide from Lagos to Abuja and from Calabar to Lagos in under 3 hours, linking industrial corridors and export hubs. Children grow up in a country where electricity, security, and clean water are normal, not miracles. Youths build startups that sell to the world, not emigrate for greener pastures. The middle class is broad and confident, owning homes, investing in ideas, and traveling for leisure, not medical tourism. Hospitals heal. Schools teach to think, not to cram. Nigerian brands compete globally with pride. Crime, once an economy of despair, fades with opportunity. Nigerians walk with dignity, speak with optimism, and believe again in government. The Naira is strong, stable, respected, a symbol of export discipline. This Nigeria is not perfect, but it works. Nigeria produces. Nigeria protects. Nigeria provides. This future feels like a collective sigh of relief, turned into a sense of triumph. So, how did we get there? Well, it all started with a bold national compact aiming for 100,000 megawatts by 2070. We unbundled the grid and scaled up gas, hydro, utility-scale solar, and embedded generation. Then came the export industrial zones, both coastal and inland, with one-stop regulators, bonded logistics, and 10-year policy credibility guarantees. Education was next on the list, with universal basic literacy and numeracy by 2040, an expansion in science, technology, engineering, and maths, STEM, as well as technical and vocational skills acquisition. The farmer was finally valued and fully supported, turning agriculture into agribusiness, with irrigated hubs, storage, cold chains, and offtake contracts. The result? Decent wages, safe streets and roads, functioning hospitals, reliable electricity, dignity for Nigerians, and passports, used for international business, and not to escape. Now, let's talk about the alternative scenario of mediocrity, the economic drift set in Nigeria, 2075. In this scenario, Nigeria chose the path of least resistance, importing what we should make, exporting what we should process, and endlessly debating what we should measure. The result? Economic booms and busts driven by international commodity price fluctuations and rising poverty. This is a Nigeria trapped by short-term thinking, policy inconsistency, and a failure to diversify away from commodities. It's a cautionary tale of squandered potential, a nation perpetually on the brink. The population is estimated at around 550 million, with a high growth rate. Nominal GDP sits at about $1.1 trillion, with real GDP growth trending at 1 to 2%. GDP per capita is approximately $2,000. Manufacturing value added accounts for 9% of GDP, around $100 billion. Total exports, both goods and services, are about $120 billion, with hydrocarbons making up 70%. Manufactured exports remain low and thinly diversified. Poverty affects 40 to 50% of the population, earning less than $3.60 a day. Unemployment is over 25%. Reliable power capacity is limited to 15,000 megawatts, with frequent power outages. Inflation averages 20% per annum, with periodic spikes. So, what does this Nigeria feel like in 2075? It feels heavy, tired from decades of talking, without building. The skyline may be taller, but dreams have grown smaller. Generators hum through sleepless nights, as the rich live behind heavy gates, while the poor queue for food. Unemployment is a silent epidemic. Degrees are everywhere, but jobs are nowhere to be found. Young people drift between survival hustles and dreams of emigration. Markets overflow with imported goods, electronics from Asia, clothes from Turkey, engines from China, while local factories rust away. The naira loses value and buys less and less each year. Traffic crawls where trains should run. Insecurity lurks where industries should rise. Parents pray for their children to make it abroad because the system no longer makes it possible here. Streets buzz with frustration, disguised as normal life. The rich hide their wealth, the poor hide their hunger. Even the weather feels harsher, a reflection of a nation stuck between potential and paralysis. Nigeria remains an underdeveloped, low-income nation, living from year to year and hoping for a better tomorrow that never comes. The saddest part? We all know it could have been different. It could have been much better. How did we get stuck, you might ask? Well, we took the path of least resistance. Through inaction, complacency, short-term politicking, corruption, and inefficiency, we landed here. We kept treating symptoms instead of tackling root causes. Power reforms were left half-done. Our FX policy was more about appearances than real outcomes, and exporters were left on the sidelines. Industrial policy became a wish list, not actual export contracts. Education expanded in headcount, not in quality. Economic data got massaged, and problems were managed, not solved. Dear Nigerians, this is not science fiction. It's the direct consequence of the choices we made, or avoided, starting from today. So, what are the choices before Nigeria, Nigerian leaders, and Nigerian people? I'm certain that we all want a great and prosperous Nigeria. But it won't happen just because we wish it. We have to act like those 40 or so nations that figured it out, and keep doing so, consistently, for the next 30 to 40 years. We must urgently deliver the following, at the very least. 1. A clear path to 25,000 megawatts of electricity supply by 2035, with cost-reflective tariffs and targeted lifeline support. Fast-track gas supply, grid reinforcement, and metering. Enable up to 50 megawatt embedded generation for industrial clusters. 2. a strong manufactured export drive. Push at least 3 priority sectors with global demand and Nigeria's factor advantages, such as agroprocessing, light engineering, and petrochemicals or fertilizers. Tie incentives to verified export receipts and jobs created. 3. Create a skills-to-factories pipeline. Revamp the National Apprenticeship Service for dual polytechnic training that blends classroom learning with hands-on, modern technology experience at firms in specific priority sectors. 4. Develop and improve seaports, rails and roads to support the real sector. Digitize the ports end-to-end and eliminate bottlenecks. Secure and de-bottleneck the top 20 trade corridors. Expand standard gauge connectivity to major farming and industrial zones. Dear Nigerian leaders, by 2075, Nigeria will be exactly what we make of it today. Just look at the 2 alternate futures we've described. One is a legacy of economic prosperity and greatness, built on the focus, discipline, sacrifices, and the hard work you championed. The other is a legacy of mediocrity and economic drift, condemning millions more to penury and robbing Nigeria of its economic destiny. The data, the trends, and the warnings are screaming at us. The time for half measures, empty rhetoric, and blaming external factors is over. The world, in 2075, will be shaped by artificial intelligence, industrial automation, and robotics. Will Nigeria be the nation that ships $1.5 trillion of what the world wants, or the one that continues to ship its brightest children? History will not wait, neither should we. Let history remember this generation of leaders as the one that turned the tide, the one that chose productivity over excuses and prosperity over poverty. The time is now. Choose selflessness. Choose transformation. Choose the future where Nigeria truly rises. The clock is ticking and history is watching. May God bless Nigeria. Thanks for watching.